Hi guys, it's Davin here from brewbits.com. Behind the camera as always we've got James. Say hello James. I was told this morning that I had to empty out the freezer of all the fruit. And I came across some grapes that I'd been given by one of our neighbours. And I've let them defrost and you can see there's quite a bit of juice coming out already. But I thought we would make into some wine. And what are we going to need then if we're going to do that? Well, we're going to need a second bucket. We've already got the bucket the grapes are in already. We will need some grape juice enhancer, red one that is. I'm going to use some finings, some pectolase, some fermentation stopper and Camden tablets. The yeast I'm using here is a Mangrove Jack's yeast called VR21, which is for red wines. You can see I've got a spoon, a siphon for siphoning it all out. I've got a mashing and sparging bag so that we can strain all the fruit pulp out a little bit later. I've got some sugar just in case we need some extra. In here I've got a hydrometer and trial jar so we can check our specific gravities. And down here, James, I have a bowl, some soap, and my feet. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to wash my feet, get in under the nails, make sure they're lovely and clean. Now I'm quite lucky, my feet are quite small and will fit beautifully into the brewing bucket. Now you might be thinking, oh my God, what are you doing? Look, it's a traditional way of doing it. It's been done for a long time. It's amazingly effective and it feels great between your toes. Now, does feel great. Does need a little bit more. Now, back to me a second, James. Because if you don't fancy getting your feet in there, you can get your hands in there. You can get a potato masher in there. Get anything you want in there. Squish those grapes right up, make them all lovely and gooey. And as you move around, it feels great. And you can see, look how much juice comes out. Excellent, awesome. Now I've crushed all our grapes down. You can see how much juice has come out of them. There's still quite a lot of grape pulp there. So you can see here, I wiggle it all level. It's not coming up to the 5 litre mark. So probably is about 4 litres in here. Take off all the grape skins and stuff like that. We might be lucky to have 3 litres. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take the grape juice concentrate and we're going to just simply pour this in. It's lovely and thick. And now I'm going to add to this 2 litres of water to dilute this and basically bring this up to a level so that we can potentially get a demijohn's worth once we've taken all the grape skins out of it. So I need to add 2 litres of water to this. So with some of my water that I'm going to top it up with, I'm going to pour it into the bottle and give it a bit of a shake because there was still lots of lovely grape juice concentrate in there to go. There's still a bit more in the bottom, so I'm going to get that all out. And the rest goes in. Lovely. And then give it a good stir to mix it all in. Come on in, James, and have a look if you want. Right, now we've got our grape juice and our grape skins. We need to take a hydrometer reading to check the specific gravity. Find out if we need to add any extra sugar. We're coming out at 1.048. And so that's going to give us about a percentage of about 8% if that finishes fermenting, which is about what I was expecting. So what we're going to need to do now is we're going to need to add some sugar to this to bring it up to our desired ABV. Now, because of the blackness of these grapes, and of course I've tasted them before, I'm going to reckon we're going to want to pull this up to about 13%. So what did I say we're at now? Once it finished down to dryness, so 8%, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we need to, 13, 5. Okay, so we've got 5% that we need to raise it by. I reckon in here now we've got 4.5 litres, that's enough to make our gallon. So we're going to need to add 17 grams of sugar per litre to get this up each percent. So we've got 4.5 litres, so 4.5 times 17 times the 5% we want to raise it by. So I'm going to disappear and I'm going to do a quick calculation. So after a quick calculation and a quick measurement, we need 382 grams of sugar in here to bring it up. So in that goes, and we need to give a really good stirring now so it's all dissolved. So I've taken a new reading after we've added the sugar, stirred it all in, and it's coming out at 1.080. So that is going to hit our desired percentage beautifully. Right, get that grape juice back in, get that grape juice back in, because now we're going to add some pectolase. So pectolase is used in a lot of fruit wines where you, it's added in a lot of fruit wines so that you can prevent pectin and things like that from causing the finished wine to be hazy. However, there's not going to be a huge amount of pectin in here, but just in case, and we don't want a hazy wine, we're going to add some into our grape juice. The second thing pectin is going to do, pectin is also going to work brilliantly on those grape skins and also on the flesh of the grapes, and it's going to help break that down and release any extra juice and colour that the flesh keeps nice and tightly in. It does that by breaking down the cell walls. So this is going to get even richer, even darker, and even grapier. Okay, so give that all a good stir in. Easy as that. And the last thing I'm going to use is our yeast. Now, I did a quick temperature check on this with my thermometer to make sure it was at 20 degrees before I took my hydrometer reading. And so this yeast here is really good for rich red wine yeasts. Tries to keep as much flavour as possible, adds a little bit of extra spice as well. And in this goes, oh, come on, won't even open. Okay, you'll notice I'm not adding any yeast nutrient. Well, you don't need to because the yeast nutrient is actually in this pack as well. And then once that's in, I'm just going to give it a gentle stir just to make sure those little particles of yeast get down through and into the grape must and don't just sit on the top. Okay, so that's it, easy as that. My lid's now going to go on, leaving a little bit of gap for some gas to escape. And this is now going to go into my warm cupboard between 18 and 22 degrees C. And that's going to go in there now for about 7 to 10 days to allow it to fully ferment. The grape wine has been sat in my warm cupboard now for the last 10 days. Come on in, James, and have a look at this, because we've got all these lovely grapes floating on the surface. But that's all the squished grapes, and they've all come to the surface because the carbon dioxide has just grabbed hold of them and lifted them all the way up. So, down here, I've got a sterilised bucket, and I've got a large mashing and sparging bag that I can pop over the top of my bucket, and using these little ties, this drawstring, give them a quick tie into a bow. And now what we can do is we can gently pour all of this into our straining bag. Now our straining bag's got two sizes of mesh, a fine mesh and a coarse mesh. You try saying that after a couple of glasses of wine. And this is going to help us to, sorry James, strain out all of that juice from stuck left in the grape. So now that's all poured in, lift it up. You hear it running out already. And I like to get to the bottom of the bag, just give a squeeze like that, and it all starts to move very, very quickly. You don't have to be really forceful with it. You can feel it firming up under each squeeze, and less juice starts to come out. Or as it is now, wine. Cool. That is about, I think, it. So we can get rid of that. I'm just going to wash my hands. I've now taken a sample in our trial jar just to check the specific gravity, and it's coming out at 0.996, which is telling me the yeast have eaten all the sugar, and therefore it's now time for us to move on. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a glass and we're going to pour this sample into a glass. And no, it's not for drinking. So I've got some fermentation stopper, also called potassium sorbate, and we need to look to see how much we've got. So we've got 5 litres here. So, I need a little spoon. There we go. And you just need to have a quick read of the instructions. It says 1 gram, that's half a teaspoon per gallon. So 5 litres is a gallon, so we're going to add in half a teaspoon. Don't add any more than what you think you need. Follow the instructions. You see it's fizzing, almost fizzing. This is because there's lots and lots of carbon dioxide dissolved in the wine. And we'll get to that in a moment. So the second thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to crush a Camden tablet. And again, you need to use 1 Camden tablet for every gallon. So we're going to use 1 Camden tablet. And here I'm just going to take 2 dessert spoons, put one on the counter, the Camden tablet on top, and you can just put the other one on and press down very, very lightly, and you've crushed the Camden tablet. And that goes in as well. Okay, so what this little mixture is going to do is going to do a couple of things. In this wine, there's lots and lots of live yeast, and we want to kill them and stop them from doing any more fantastic work, because they've done all their hard work. And then the Camden tablet is going to act as oxidizers and a preservative as well, and hopefully help to keep that lovely, amazing colour. Come on in, James, and have a quick look at that amazing colour, because that is the colour this is going to save. And we just pop that in, and then we're going to give that a good stir. Because the next thing we're going to do is we need to stir this 3 times a day for the next 2 days. We need to give it a really good stir for at least a minute at a time. And what that's going to do, that's going to help get all that potassium sorbate, that fermentation stopper, through the whole system. And it's also going to help knock out any carbon dioxide that's suspended in the wine, because that's going to prevent us, or slow down our clearing process. So for the next 2 days, 3 times a day, you're going to open the top up and you're going to get in and you're going to give it a good stirring for a minute at a time. I've been stirring our wine now for the last 2 days. Come on in, James, and have a look at this. Just want to show you the colour, because it's knocked all the carbon dioxide out. It's lovely and flat, and we're ready now to move on to the finings. Now, if you look on our website, there's loads of different finings, and they all do the same job, but in slightly different ways. So here we've got some double sachets, one fine and Young's. They work with 2 sachets. One's called Kisao Sol, one's called Chitasan. Got a little one here for smaller batches. The Kisao Sol is a silicon based, and that works by having negatively charged particles within the finings. That attracts all the positively charged particles that are within your wine. That causes all of them to clump together and drop out. The Chitasan in this one is actually positively charged. So if you've got too many negatively charged and too many positively charged, they kind of then all cancel each other out. You get really, really good, fine, clearing wine. We've also got Vinbrights and a few others based on isinglass. Now, isinglass is the swim bladders of fish. I personally like to use clearits because this is also a two-stage fining. First of all, you've got your Key-Cell Sol, which is your silicon, and your second one is a gelatin-based finings. You can get vegan finings as well, and they are in the website, and they're based on fungus actually. So this is really easy. What you do, I'll get rid of those for the moment so we don't confuse you. We've got bottle A and bottle B. Bottle A, we're going to need to look inside here, decide how much sediment we think is floating about. I think in here we've got a medium amount, so I'm going to use 2 ml of finings A. And I've got myself a little sterilised syringe, which beautifully does 2 millilitres. There you go. And in that goes. Now I know it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but remember, we're not adding to the wine. All we're trying to do is to cause this to grab hold of all the particles that are in there and make them drop out. So we don't really need to use very much at all. I'm just going to grab a stainless steel spoon and gently now give that a stir to get that all incorporated in. Doesn't take very long. And for ease of use, I'm going to leave my spoon in there for now, because we're going to be returning in 1 hour to add pot B. It's been an hour since we added our 2 ml of A. So I'm now going to add our 2 ml of finings B. So if you look in now, you may see it's already started to do something, because it's already started to work. It's kind of a little yellowish sort of colour. Simple as that, in it goes. I always put the top on just to be safe. And give that a good stir and get it all mixed in. Okay, so finings A and finings B in this now are going to work together. They are going to get all of the particles that are floating around in that wine, and they're going to get them all together, cause them all to clump together and to drop to the bottom of the fermenting bucket. It's going to do it quite quickly. Usually it's between about 24 to 72 hours for this specific finings to take effect. So put this now somewhere nice and cool where you're not going to disturb it for 3 days, so that we can then potentially siphon directly from the bucket into a nice new clean sterilised bucket, so that we can leave all the sediment behind. It's been 48 hours since I've added the finings, and I can see down at the bottom, I don't know if you can catch that, James, there is a thin layer of sediment down there. Now, come on in and have a look, because you can't see through it. It's a dark red wine. So we're just going to have to take the assumption that the finings have worked really, really well, and it's lovely and clear. So therefore, what I'm going to do next, down here I have got a sterilised bucket, which I've swilled out, and I've got a little bit of water left in there, so let's get rid of that. And I've got myself a sterilised siphon. I can see there's a little tiny bit of steriliser in there as well. Right. So, in this end of the siphon, I've got a sediment trap to hopefully not, so we don't disturb any of the sediment down at the bottom of the bucket. And this end goes down into the wine, and this end I'm going to go good suck. Lovely, and get the flow going. Now, if you don't want to suck it on the end like that, then we do have auto siphons that you can pump and get the flow going nice and easily. And I can tell you now then, I could see it was lovely and clear. So, perfection. And so, this is going to take me a couple of moments to siphon this down through. Come in and have a look at this, James. This is the sediment that's left over, as you can see. I did my best to miss all of that. Now, down here then we've got the wine that we've just siphon in, I'm going to add a Camden tablets, and we're going to do this because I had a little taster of it previously, and I think this wine's going to take a few months to age. And because we've been degassing it and stirring it and possibly introducing oxygen to it as well, any Camden tablet that we previously added with the fermentation stopper may have kind of diminished. So I'm going to just add another Camden tablet now and give it a good stir. I've got myself 7 green bottles. I've got my simple siphon, but the sediment trap on the end I'm going to take off because we don't need that. I've got myself a bucket clip, which is going to come in handy to keep the tube in place, and that literally just clips onto the tube like so. And this end of the tube I've put a tap. This is going to help us in our little bottling ceremony. So there it goes in. We give a good suck on the end over here, James, and we can turn the tap off nice and easily like that. Now I've sterilised my bottles, so they're all ready to go, and we just need to fill them up. Now if you can, try and run your wine down the inside of the bottle. That helps prevent splashing and helps prevent infection. But the Camden tablet we've also crushed and just added into it as well. That's also going to help prevent infection, and it's also going to allow it so that it can age for a good long time. So I'm probably thinking I'm going to leave these to mature in the bottles for probably at least 6 months to a year. And we're going to take it up to just the bottom of the neck, and it gets there pretty quickly. So you need to be ready to turn your little tap off. Right, so. Okay, that's one filled. I've got a few more to go. With a bit of luck, I've managed to get exactly 7 bottles out of that. Now, whilst I was doing the last bottle, I put some sodium metabisulfate on and brought it quickly to the boil. And with about a minute, as soon as it got to the boil, I dropped the corks in, and they've been in there for a minute. And this helps to sterilise them, to make sure there's no bugs on. Also softens them a little bit. And here I've got myself just a tea towel, and my 3-handle corker allows me to send a cork in that easy, and that's because the heated cork, sterilised cork, and this little beauty sends it in. Like that. Cool, just got a couple more to go. So that's the 7 bottles of red wine corked. All I need to do now is create a nice label, stick it on, leave it for 24 hours stood up so that the corks can set, and then transfer them somewhere nice and cool, lead down so the wine's in contact with the cork so it keeps it nice and moist. And you're going to need to lay these down for probably 6, possibly even 12 months to bottle condition before they're ready to drink. So, the grapes for these were given to me by a chap called Victor in the local village of Mells, so I will be popping a couple of bottles down to Victor to say thank you very much for the grapes. But for you guys, that's my method of making red wine using your own red grapes from your garden, or in this case, given to me. Nice and quick, easy method, which will create you a really, really good red wine. But unfortunately, it's quite quick to make it, but you've got to wait till you drink it. If you've made red wine using my method, then pop it in the comments down below. Let me know how you go on. Feel free to as well to ask any questions about the process, what to do, any hints and tips you may need, then feel free to get in touch. But for now, happy brewing, and it's going to be a while before we can drink these. So yeah, we'll see you again soon. For now, happy brewing, and thanks again, Victor. Cheers!